Well, what kind of progress were you able to make then?
Well, maybe I'm not the right judge of that, but in my view, huge. We put out a interoperability rule, and so that includes a lot of things administratively, right? So because all of these federal rules are done under notice of public comment rulemaking and PRM. So with vast dialogue from stakeholders, I had easily 200 meetings with stakeholders. I met with everybody who wanted to meet with it. My policy was an open door policy at ONC. And lots of public speaking. I don't know exactly the count, but I think it's something 100, 200, 150 outside speaking events. I think maybe even one or two for on your turf. You have to really you have to really build a consensus, educate, get people pumped about the stuff. We did all of that. I think we have put in the absolute best on some of the critical lifts. So, within, the legal framework we have in the United States in terms of protecting privacy, security. One of the things that's maybe not as obvious to your audience, there shall not be information blocking, which requires a lot more definition, right? What is information blocking? That an ONC was involved. It was in the quote exceptions to information blocking as a practical matter, since vendors could say and have said in the past, we're just not going to share, right? Just period. Then you have the delicate balancing act, solving what in physics is an unsolved problem, which is the three body problem. And so, right, the three bodies are two bodies covered by the information blocking provisions, who are EMR vendors and providers, and then patients. So just the economics of it to play out and to solve in rulemaking, solve is a big word, but to address the rulemaking, patients should get their data for free. This is just part of the practice of modern medicine. The federal government, state governments regulate the provision of medical care all the time in thousands of ways, large and small. And, patients should just have their data. This is sort of literally a human right, I believe, to have your data. Okay, that's fine. But, it's quote free. Now, of course, it's not free because you paid for the care. It's embedded in the cost of care. But at the margin, it's quote free. And obviously the vendors on their side need to have a return on investment. They need to have incentives to invest. They need to have incentives to innovate, which leaves the providers who typically have bought EHRs that they can't just switch out because of the switching costs, at the mercy, if you will, of their EHR vendor, their incumbent vendors on the one hand, and then having to provide something new on the other. And so we came up with sort of provisions on sort of costs reasonably allowed that really, I think, are very pro-public, in giving vendors, reasonable returns. Obviously, there are all kinds of issues on how you define that and think about that just from a philosophic point of view, frankly, as much as anything else, but yet protect providers so that they can operationally do this. And provide patients with secure application programming interface endpoints that they can, point their smartphones at. It, when done right, and we've already seen this from Apple HealthKit, is a pretty low friction activity, right? It's just providing a server endpoint to the database, hooked up to your EHR. So this is not an ongoing maintenance. It's not a human intervention. We want to make this seamless, modern, instantaneous, and that's what we've done in the rulemaking. And I think we have, at this stage, buy-in from all of the parties. Obviously, there was a lot of commotion about some of this that had to be worked through, as you were probably aware.